What's going on, everybody in the building, man? It's your boy, Tony D2 Wild, checking in once again, back in the building today, guys. And I wanted to do something a little different because I think this is extremely important for a lot of us out here in the 2A community. I've been seeing about this on the internet. I've been seeing people dropping videos about it. I'm dropping a video because maybe some of my audience don't know about this, and I want to share it. I want to spread the news as well. But for a little bit now, there's been there was a bill that was sent out about removing suppressors from the NFA as a whole, like completely remove them off of that to where you can go to the gun store and buy a suppressor without any of the $200 tax stamp nonsense or having to file what is it, a form 4, I believe it's a form 4, and do all the necessary paperwork from fingerprints and all that to acquire a suppressor, right? Well, that bill was then put into, I guess, into Congress, or trying to be passed now, but the actual paperwork that officially came out that was going to be pushed towards, I believe it's first the House and then the Senate, is slightly different than what was initially put out. And what that is right here. We got this off to the side because obviously I can't put this here, and this is all going down like right now in real time. But this was, I'm going to read this one, I guess. I'll read this one second. Early this morning, now this is on the 14th, so this was yesterday. Early this morning, the House Committee of Ways and Means, led by Chairman Jason Smith. By the way, these are Republicans, by the way. These are not Democrats that are doing this now, and which is wild, which is, maybe if you don't know, I claim myself to be independent, okay? I follow what makes sense for me and my family. I'm not bound to one party. You know, I am in Georgia, which is a more conservative state, but there is pros and cons on each end. Definitely for guns, I would say, you know, obviously it's going to lean more so to the Republican side and conservative side of what is good. However, we've seen, you know, some people have said that Trump isn't really pro-gun as he seems to be, and even with this bill in particular that is led by Republicans, or this Ways and Means that is led by this chairman Jason Smith, who's a Republican. He is trying to do this bill, but he is not doing it the correct way that was put out there from people, whether who voted for him in. And what that is it's included in a provision which would lower the National Firearms Act tax levied on suppressors from $200 to $0. So you hear that and say, oh wow, so we can go and get a suppressor now and not to pay a tax stamp. Hip hip hooray, let's go ahead and let's end it. That's not what we really want. We want to be able to go get suppressors without doing any type of paperwork, form 4s. We want to go the same way you go in and can buy a firearm. You have to do that type of paperwork there. But we think that, you know, suppressors should be treated the same way as optics, handguards, anything of that nature. That should not. It's not a firearm in itself. It's an accessory. This is the first federal firearms tax stamp reduction since the 1960s. However, under this provision, suppressors would continue to be a subject to the other aspects of the NFA. Just think about it. This little tube here that reduces sound, the same thing as a car muffler, literally the same science as a car muffler. You have to get it serialized. You can't just go out of state with it. You know, you can't even let your friend borrow it without you being there. There's just too much, I think, on something that, in my opinion, does more good than harm. We'll get to that a little bit later. With the provision in place and the markup completed, the reconciliation bill will now be considered by the House Committee on the Budget, and then will be considered by the full U.S. House. Before final passage of this important legislation, the U.S. House has the opportunity to improve this provision to fully remove suppressors from the NFA. And once the U.S. House has approved this legislation, it will then make its way to the U.S. Senate for consideration. This provision, along with any other provision in the bill, could alter or remove at any time before the final passage of the bill. So meaning that we can change it from saying 200 to 0, but also adding in, you know, NFA, remove it as well, which is what the NRA ILA is trying to put out there. A lot of other content creators have been trying to say is to reach out to your local, you know, people within government. And I'm pretty sure it'll tell me specifically who, but to reach out to them and call their phones, ring them up to tell them to, you know, make that necessary change. The NRA fully supports removal of suppressors from the NFA and will work to achieve that goal as the reconciliation process continues, said John Comerford, executive director of the NRA ILA. So this was put out 1 hour ago, and I guess this is an email because it says right here. I had to check and see if I got this email. Dear NRA member, the U.S. House Committee of Ways and Means released the text for the House Reconciliation Bill. Included in the legislation is a provision which would reduce the NFA tax imposed on suppressors from $200 to $0. However, this legislation will continue to subject suppressors to the other unconstitutional provisions of the NFA. The NRA fully supports removal of suppressors from the NFA and will work to achieve that goal. So we already heard that. This reconciliation bill only requires a simple majority vote in both the U.S. House and Senate. There may be time to include language in this reconciliation bill, which would not only remove the tax, which we are possibly going to get, but would also remove the suppressors from the U.S. state tax code and NFA completely. The reconciliation process will go very quickly, and your member of Congress needs to hear from you. So that's why we need to reach out. In order to improve the legislation and have the suppressors completely removed from the NFA, please call your local U.S. representative today and ask them to include Section 2 of the Hearing Protection Act in the reconciliation bill. So let's hear it. Let's look it up. And okay, Section 2 of the Hearing Protection Act focuses on the identification of a firearm, silencers, and mufflers. It mandates that the licensed importers and manufacturers of these devices must engrave or cast a serial number on the keystone part or a similar part providing the primary housing of the suppressor, housing of the silencer or muffler. If marking a single part is impractical, a request for making a marking variance can be submitted to the Attorney General. Let's see if we can find more about this. All right, guys, so I was trying to find specifically because I was going all over the place, but I just literally asked Google to get more information because I was trying to find it when I typed in Hearing Protection Act, but it was not popping up. But Section 2 of the Hearing Protection Act, if passed, would primarily focus on removing silencers from the definition of firearms under the internal. All right, guys, so I finally found what I was looking for because I was looking and getting pulled in all other sorts of directions. So with that said, Section 2 of the Hearing Protection Act, if passed, would primarily focus on removing silencers from the definition of firearms under the Internal Revenue Code. This would involve striking specific sections of the code that currently classifies silencers as firearms, thus deregulating their ownership and sale. Exactly. It's not a firearm. It's a muzzle device. The same way we can go buy compensators and flash hiders and all that, the same thing should be, I think, in my opinion, should be applied to a suppressor. Now, Democrats, one of their reasonings for wanting to not allow suppressors in general is their safety. Democrats argue that suppressors can diminish the audible cues of gunfire, making it harder for bystanders and law enforcement to identify and locate active shooters. And there's other ones as well, like this. There's other things out there, but more than the majority of the thing that they say there is that and an increased criminal use. But the same thing goes with gun laws, in my opinion, is the same thing with suppressors. And that is that you put the law on law-abiding citizens, you're hurting the law-abiding citizens more than you're hurting the actual criminals. Because a criminal can go and get a gun that is not marked in their name and use it in a crime, and nothing comes out of it. They're not going to get caught. Their name's not attached to it or nothing. And God forbid, but suppressors are not that hard to make. People make suppressors out of what is it what's it called, the filter cans and shit like that. Suppressors can be easily made and used by criminals if need be in that type of thing. So you might be scared of it in a mass shooting, and you might be a criminal can get their hands and make a suppressor extremely easy if that's what they want to do. So I'm definitely just not in line with that whatsoever. I'm with the full deregulation of it when it comes to suppressors. With that said, let me look at this last thing with you guys. U.S. Republican tax writers pushing through Donald Trump's signature tax cut priorities proposes and eliminate a customer tax on firearm silencers, a tax potentially undoing the almost 100-year-old tax. If the bill is passed by Congress and enacted into law, Americans will no longer be charged $200 when purchasing a firearm silencer, also called suppressor, an add-on feature that reduces the sound of gunshot. The firearm silencer tweak is only 12 lines in the almost 400-page bill, but represents a potential grassroots win for gun rights groups that want to deregulate purchase of firearm suppressors, which currently require special approval from the ATF. The suppressor has been in the books since 1934 in the National Firearms Act, and 4.5 million suppressors were registered with the federal government by the end of 2024, according to the data from the National Shooting Sports Foundation. On average, a firearm suppressor costs about $830 at retail, a group said. I want to also put it out there, though. Think about this, guys. The reason why, in my opinion, this is my dislogic, right? The reason why we've been getting these turnaround times extremely fast, extremely like the 2 days and then the week and all that, in my opinion, is because, and correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, like correct me in the comment section, but I believe, you got to pay the $200. I don't think that they take the $200 and claim it as their own, at least put it in their bank until you are approved. Because I know when you're denied, I believe you get that, you get the money back for the most part. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never ran into a suppressor that has been denied for the most part. With that said, I feel like the ATF and all that saw like, okay, we got like millions of people that have been waiting months for this, and we got all this money that's sitting here, all these $200 tax stamps from these millions of people. If we just go through and speed up in this process, bro, we're cashing in $200 left and right a day. That's then going to continue to fund our agency and give us more and more money. And that's what we saw the speed of all this going on. Now, there was also wording that they were being able to electronic signatures and all that. Maybe that's as well. But every signature that they go through and give a thumbs up to is $200 in their pocket. I mean, you could sign 100 signatures in a day. You do the math, and we're talking about for one person. There's a lot of money that they can make. Now, with that said, if you the catch-22 in this, in my opinion, is, oh man, Tony, man, chill out, bro. We should just be hip hooray. We're not gonna have to pay that $200 no more. You think that if they don't have to pay that tax anymore, that $200 tax, you think that they're gonna put that much time and effort and send employees to go and sign off on signatures that they're not making no money on now? So what could happen is, we could get this $200 tax removed, but you might not be getting the suppressor back for another whole year now. Because I don't see why they're going to put a priority on approving all these tax stamps if they're not getting the money from it. They're going to put their priorities where their assets are, where more money on assets can go into. I'm not going to, that's how I look at it from any business perspective. I'm not going to have 5 people signing signatures and paying them around the clock, and there's no money being generated from that particular situation. Now, if it's $200, and we need to get some money rolling in, I could see that. So I didn't think about that till right now, but that's more than likely what can end up happening is that, we might get it to go from 2 to 0, but now you're talking about longer wait times because there's no money to be made from them at that point. They can take their time on that shit. An average firearm suppressor is $830 at retail. Repealing this tax would cost $1.4 billion over a decade, according to analysts from the Joint Committee Taxation. House Republicans applauded the Representative Eric Burleson from Missouri when he rose at his party's January meeting in Miami to push the tax committee leadership to eliminate the suppressor tax. This is about making sure that people keep their hearing at the end of the day, which I support, said in an interview, noting he also questions whether the tax infringes the right to bear arms enshrined in the Second Amendment. Well, if you're calling a suppressor a firearm, then, which you currently are, you are kind of taking that away. If a suppressor is a firearm, you're making us go through all these loops to acquire. That is, I feel like, an infringement on it. So you need to either call it you need to change that wording. You really just need to remove it. Burleson said he worked with Representative Rudy Yakman, a Republican tax writer from Indiana, to make progress on the silencer tax cut while foregoing a repeal of the same tax short barrel rifle purchases due to heartburn from a larger tax committee. So they're trying to remove that as well. Democrats tried to strike this silencer tax provision from the bill during legislative debate in the middle of Tuesday night. Republicans defeated the amendment. Representative Mike Thompson, a California Democrat, argued the silencer change will make it harder for victims of mass shooting to know where the shots are coming from as they're trying to run for cover. As a combat veteran, a lifelong hunter and gun owner, I could tell you this has nothing to do with hearing protection, but everything to do with making money for one segment of the gun industry. So he's trying to say that nobody cares. It's just about, well, you're talking about it from a business perspective, but if you ask any person, a consumer, the consumers want it. He's looking at it from the silencer's perspective, but, trust me, I do see a plus in hearing protection. Meanwhile, pro-gun lobbyists like the American Firearms Association said its tax tweaks do not go far enough, calling the change nothing more than a crumb dropped from the king's table. It's vital that Republicans use majorities they have in House, Senate, and control of the White House to completely deregulate suppressors and short-barrel rifles, and even more importantly, abolish the ATF and repeal the NFA. And I go on to say that as well. Don't get me wrong, gun people out there. I might want to flame me up for saying this, but I feel like the SBR, they both need to go. But I feel like the SBR is even more of a priority of being removed. Like it's even more stupid, because that whole concealable and all this and that, like this doesn't make any sense at this point. Okay, it's time to give up the SBR tax. It's time to give up SBRs in general. You know, we're not in the damn 50s no more where people are wearing trench coats and hiding Tommy guns underneath their damn trench coats. Like, you just give it up, okay? Just give it up. Y'all already lost the brace thing. Just give this damn thing up. It's all about money and taxes. That's what the guy said. It's about a gun area or whatever. One segment of the gun industry. In my opinion, it's just about making some money off of gun owners. That's all this seems to be in my humble opinion, because it doesn't make no damn sense why you're taxing somebody to put a damn part on a stock on a gun that's shorter than whatever. Like, it's stupid. It's stupid in my humble opinion. It makes no damn sense. And yeah, you want people to you worry about people having SBRs, and I don't know what's up with these damn ads, bro. Goodness. You want people to have SBRs because they can conceal them and all this and that, but you do want them to then, if someone is to utilize this pistol in the short configuration and they're doing some crime, or if they're trying to protect themselves, either or, they're just shooting with no control whatsoever. So the person who is legally and law-abiding trying to protect themselves, they're using this pistol because they cannot put a stock on it because they're making the SBR. They're not able to protect themselves because they cannot accurately fire the weapon, and now they are probably hurt or injured or potentially killed by someone that's intruding on them. And then you got some people, in gang violence, people are pulling these guns out and shooting them while they're trying to hit their opposition, and then you got people that are bystanders being shot because these people don't have no damn, they're just shooting shit stupid. It's a whole nother topic we can go into, but I just think that these are the two most stupid laws, in my opinion, that need to be removed. Okay, that's it. But like I stated before, as an independent, Democrats definitely are dumb as hell here, and then Republicans they're trying to feed us crumbs, like they said, from the king's table. Look, guys, you voted me in, and I got the tax stamp removed. Yeah, can you get some more money? No. That's not what we asked. Don't play us fucking stupid. With that said, though, let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section, man. Love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm out.